I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver in early November, and I'm happy to be joined by Max Porterfield of Callinex Mines. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here.
So Callinex, a new story to the Metals Investor Forum audience. Let's set the stage. So you have this land package in Flin Flon. You have other assets on the East Coast as well that we can touch on in a moment. But the key focus is this land package in Flin Flon, VMS discoveries that are very similar to, but slightly separated from the classic Flin Flon discoveries. Do you want to put a bit more flesh around what I just said there?
Yeah, certainly. So in Pine Bay is the name of the project. So it's a very, very large land package. And predating Callinex, the last true explorer of Pine Bay was actually Plasterdome. And Plasterdome opined for a 30 million ton exploration target on the area because from a VMS perspective, it had all the ingredients to host a very, very large discovery of that size. It is, and from a geologic perspective, it's the largest felsic volcanic rock package in the entire Flin Flon greenstone belt that's been mapped at surface. It's leaps and bounds larger than the felsic package that hosts the 777, Callinex, and Flin Flon deposits. Mm-hmm. And then within this large felsic package, we also have a main controlling growth fault that now hosts 7 deposits, which include our 2 recent discoveries, Alchemist and Rainbow, Rainbow being the one in 2020, Alchemist being more recent. Mm-hmm. And so, again, we're very excited because in the 100-year history that they'd explored the property and previous explorers explored it, they had focused on 2 kilometers away or further away from the base of that growth fault, where in Flin Flon, that 90 million tons sits within 2 kilometers of the growth fault there. And so in a long-winded way, that's why we're really excited about what we're onto in Flin Flon.
So I don't think it was that long-winded. Yeah, setting the stage is always tough. So Rainbow was the first discovery. Like you said, you made that in 2020. And this is, like you were saying, similar to, it has the same fingerprinting essentially as these deposits in the Flin Flon belt that have been so valuable, so productive for so many years. So you discovered Rainbow, and you're actually about to publish a maiden resource on Rainbow. So Let's put a bit of context around that, and partly because one of the things about VMSs is that it's often hard to develop enough sort of volume.
Right.
They're often rich in grade, but it's hard to develop volume. So talk a bit about what you think you've outlined at Rainbow.
Yes, certainly. So at Rainbow, the discovery depth at Rainbow is 900 meters vertical depth. And if you look at the modern major discoveries in the Flin Flon camp, Lawler being the most recent one in the Snow Lake area, and then 777 being the most recent one in Flin Flon, those discoveries have been made deep. So leading up into that discovery, really the mindset was within the first 400 meters, been really covered in a large part. And that's could be further from the truth in many ways, because Rainbow now, we've shown it comes within 90 meters of surface through the over 40,000 meters of drilling that we've done. As it relates to the historic Pine Bay deposit, we believe it's over 4 times the size of the historic Pine Bay deposit, which is 1 million tons, historic, roughly 3% copper.
Right.
And Rainbow is open at depth. So the maiden resource we're marching towards, again, because the big ones continue at depth, is putting tonnage within the first 800 meters of surface.
Sure.
And being able to show the potential and size of that and how it relates to historic deposits that went on to be producing mines in the camp's history. And what you see on average, there's 32 mines in the entire Flin Flon greenstone belt, but on average they grow 2 to 3 times once you get into mining them. So what we're working on is marching towards that maiden resource on Rainbow, but then we split the budget and we focus on hitting new discoveries, and that's the birth of the Alchemist. And that discovery that occurred in April 10th was the first hole, but we've got a couple holes into Alchemist to date now.
Right. So there's, using that sort of parallel from other deposits, maybe there's 4 million tons, that kind of scale developing at Rainbow. We'll see in the next few months when you put out this.
Right. But I want to reiterate, within the first 800 meters of surface, open at depth. And that's the big thing, because if you look at the other deposits in Flin Flon, the Flin Flon ore body, that started right at surface. The outcropping was called the Horse, actually, and they were able to drill at 15 million tons. But no deposit since that time has really gotten to that scale on a maiden initial reserve basis. And as you get into these VMS systems, you need to drill them out at depth and build tonnage. So we've taken the approach to show what Rainbow is and how unique it is on a historic basis relative to the other discoveries, open at depth, and then stack other discoveries, with Alchemist being the first of those.
So Alchemist is now next in line. Alchemist, really exciting, drew me to the story partly because Rainbow is a great discovery, but the fact that you're demonstrating that your theory about this package of felsic rocks on this growth fault that is very analogous to the growth fault that hosts the classic Flin Flon deposits, you're sort of demonstrating that it's working on a repeated basis. And that's, again, when you're talking about trying to develop scale, you've got Alchemist. And then you want to talk a little bit about the area that's in between Rainbow and Alchemist.
Yeah, and I should elaborate a bit on that. If you look at the sequencing, I mentioned there's 5 other deposits, 2 of them past producing mines on that growth fault corridor, over 2 kilometers away. And then when we discovered Rainbow actually sits 1.7 kilometers away from Mill Rock Mountain, which marks the base of that growth fault corridor. And now Alchemist is 1.4 kilometers away from Rainbow.
Right.
And along that entire growth fault corridor that spans 7-8 kilometers long roughly, these deposits occur in roughly every 500 to 700 meter intervals. And so there's that big gap that you're alluding to between Alchemist and Rainbow, because it's 1.4 kilometers. Between that gap, we did cover IP, which is the tool set that we were successful in discovering Rainbow with, is aiding us. The largest chargeability ISO shell on the IP server that we covered, we didn't cover Alchemist. That was more of a proof of geologic context there.
Sure.
It actually sits between Alchemist and Rainbow on a mine horizon that's produced the past producing Centennial mine to the south, as well as the sourdough deposit that remains open on our property as well to the south. So that's really the culmination of where that mine horizon intersects that main controlling growth fault to the north part of our Pine Bay property.
So got a lot of work to do, excuse me, at Alchemist. Like you say, you've had a few holes in, reported only 1, and there's several more that are pending.
We've reported 3.
3.
There's 1 pending, and we're actually doing another hole significantly to the north in a depth to get a good snapshot picture on that.
Right.
On that
and
horizon.
then that ISO shell that's in the middle that I think you call Odin.
Yes.
And then the maiden resource pending at Rainbow.
Yes.
So lots of busy days ahead.
Yeah, no, we're exceptionally busy, and we're really driven by the community at the end of the day. This has been a long-term vision that we've had that dates back to 2014, where we assembled the team with the mindset that 777 was going to be depleted. It wasn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
I think the testament could say that it was shut down at a $5 copper price environment. It shows that it was truly depleted. But to have the discoveries that have the potential to really, carry the future of Flin Flon in the next generation of miners for that community, and the mine supply that comes out of Flin Flon being some of the highest grade material out in the world is truly obviously a really exciting experience.
Absolutely. Well, your share price has been resilient through these markets, and I think that suggests that people are interested in the discovery, in the potential, in the base metal outlook. So that must be heartening.
Yeah, no, it is when you finally you envision something, and I often kind of call the experience like an artist painting a picture. When you have an artist has a vision of what they're going to create, the people that appreciate the art don't see that,
sure,
right? And then they'll start sketching and they'll start painting, and the more that painting evolves, the more people can see what it's growing, and that's the same thing that really has occurred with Rainbow. Rainbow started with 1 drill hole, and before that was really a dream. And then we've obviously proof of concept of growing that into a reality. And so through that experience, it's been obviously a very, very exciting one. But the really rewarding part about it is the ability to have a near-term impact on people that really need that, particularly in this market environment that we're in, and kind of the overall economic environment that we're in. Flin Flon as a whole has been dealt a heavy blow. I mean, you're talking about a 100-year track record of production that's now ceased.
Right.
Over 700 direct jobs have been lost. And so again, to be able to align ourselves with the interests of a community that we've have a long history in at a time like this is a very rewarding experience, which we're excited to be a part of.
Fantastic. Well, I very much look forward to keeping up with the news as it continues to flow over the next few months. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having us.